Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the number one marketing and practice growth podcast for high-performing private practice hearing care leaders. It's Friday, and this is my end-of-week roundup of what's top of mind after 7 days of helping some of the world's best private practices to attract high-quality patients, fight the evil forces of manufacturer-owned chains, and be impossible to compete with. My name's Ollie Luke. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a drink, and let's have a chat. So imagine this situation. Imagine you met someone and they were absolutely adamant that the colour blue is the colour green. They were absolutely convinced that you've got it wrong, they've got it right. Or imagine somebody that was convincing you that 1 + 1 = 3 rather than 2. Like these fundamental belief systems that we have about the way things work, when they're challenged, the instant thing to do is put it down. It's not the way it's always been. It's uncomfortable. And I feel a little awkward now because I'm going to challenge what I believe is a belief system that you've been told for a very long time about the way the internet works, how online marketing works, how people use the internet in order to find solutions and services like yours. Because we are going through dramatic change right now. And this isn't me trying to create a big hook or make this very, very interesting or play the cliche marketing line of trying to build something up to be something it's not. Like what AI is doing right now to the way that the core fundamentals of how people use Google and people search online is going through dramatic change. More change than I've ever seen before in the last 11 years that I spent obsessed with marketing and focusing it on a day-to-day basis in all the granular details. And I want to share what that is in today's episode and call this a state of the nation, call it an overview of where we're at today, or call it where we're going in the future. But there's a lot going on right now, and unless you're aware of it, then you're going to fall into that unaware category where you're going to end up getting either left behind or behind enough that it's going to be a big sprint to try to catch up. And there's a few things. Firstly, I want to talk about what's going on with Google losing market share. Then I want to talk about how Google search is changing to the disadvantage of many practices. But first, let's talk about Google losing market share, because fundamentally, how many of us use the internet in order to research, find solutions, buy things, find a service provider is through Google. We go online, we say, I'm looking for an audiologist in Berkeley, California. I'll hit search, I'll look at the options, I'll go through the websites, I'll see who aligns most to me, who looks like they will deliver on their promises, who has a good reputation, who speaks more specifically towards the needs and circumstances that I'm looking for. Then I'd make that decision, contact them, call them, schedule an appointment, etc. Yet Google, who've had the monopoly on the way that people use the internet for a long time now, for decades, are in a bit of a compromised position. And it's for two reasons. First of all, ChatGPT search launched. Now, ChatGPT rocked up about a year ago, and originally it was built on an older data set, and you could use it to write poems or ask questions or just be amazed at some of the crazy things that it knew. It then got connected to the internet so you could use it from a search perspective, which means that now if I go and search online through my main search bar, it's got a Chrome plugin to go to ChatGPT, and it means I don't use Google anymore. Anything I'm looking for goes through ChatGPT search. If I'm looking for audiologist in Berkeley, California, it will go through ChatGPT search. If I'm asking a question about why are my ears ringing, it will go through ChatGPT search. And my belief is ChatGPT search is a better product than Google, that I'll come on to in a moment. But then a couple of months ago, it got rolled out to everyone. So ChatGPT search was firstly for their paying customers, and now it's publicly available to everyone. And what we've seen is a shift of more people move from Google to ChatGPT as the main area they go to do their research, due diligence, find options online. There's a couple of reasons why people are doing that. First of all, there's the novelty effect, which of course exists. The second one is it's a better product. And that is, in my humble opinion, and probably the sway of market share shift that suggests that's the truth. Like ChatGPT is laser fast. It knows my preferences, which means that if I ask it about something, it will know a little bit more about what I'm looking for. And let's play this out. If I want to go looking for restaurants online and it knows that I'm a vegan based on historic searches, it will find options for me in terms of restaurants that have vegan menus because it understands my preference, and it becomes a little bit of an assistant to me that knows me, knows my character, knows my preferences, and will then make recommendations and answer questions towards those preferences. There's no ad platform, so I'm not getting bombarded with adverts everywhere. It just delivers exactly what I want to deliver. Super simple for going back and forth. If I'm looking for a plumber in local area and I look on that and I'm like, oh, they need to actually be available on Saturdays, and can you make sure this, can you make sure that, it will do it, understand it, make recommendation. It's a better product for online search. So ChatGPT search is growing in market share and Google is losing market share to it. The second factor on that is the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice are going after Google right now because they don't like how big tech companies have such significant monopolies. So they've been encouraging Google to sell Google Chrome. The decision is going to finally come out in August 2025, where we'll find out exactly where this goes. It was quite interesting to see that Google donated $1 million towards Trump's inauguration. I can never pronounce that word. Trump's first day when he becomes president. It's quite interesting what dynamics are playing there. But there's been this wait for new administration coming in that are more pro-business, more deregulation. Is that going to result in the big force that's been going on over the past few years of Google being told to sell Chrome and drop their monopoly? It looks like that's not going to be the case based on some of the decisions that have been hinted towards what Trump have suggested. Gail Slater being put into place to head up that department, and her historic battles with big tech and wanting them to drop monopolies on certain things. So there could be a situation where Google are told to sell Google Chrome and lose their monopoly on online search. Who would buy Google Chrome is the answer, and its estimated market value is $30 billion based on what I can read, $30 billion. The probably only company that would be in the market for that is probably Microsoft, Google's biggest competitor. Who's the biggest investor into OpenAI and ChatGPT? It's Microsoft. So there could be a massive, massive switch that happens there where we see a dramatic changing of the guards of how people use the internet, and Google having the power move that it's always had will be wrestled away from them. So that's one big factor that's going on right now. And that means that traditional search engine optimization on Google, it's going to probably lose its value if Google isn't the main place people go to make searches. Google ads, it's going to be pretty difficult to get people to click your Google ad if they're not using Google. There's a lot of factors there that make that super, super interesting. So that's one big factor that's going on right now that is changing the playing field of how online marketing works. The second one is potentially even more interesting, and this exists on Google. Now, one thing that you may have noticed that Google rolled out pretty recently was their AI overviews. So if you go on Google right now and ask a question, any question you like, why is my tinnitus doing this? What does hearing loss mean for this? Any hearing related question or any question related to anything. Traditionally, what you would see is listings and blog posts, most commonly, either a WikiHow page, a Wikipedia page, a Reddit feed, somebody else who's asked this question and then the answers to answer it. It always directed you to a page. But what we're seeing now is Google are using an AI overview, and essentially AI will read through everything that you could have clicked, pull a summarized answer, and then provide it to you at the top of the page. Now, this is good for the user, right? It means that you can search on Google, you can get the answer you're looking for that's been well researched and presented to you, and you haven't got to go and click through all these individual websites to find an answer. But there's a downside, and as the practice, the businesses that we are, the goal is people search stuff on Google, we show up with the answer, they come through to our website, we educate them and try and get them to make an inquiry. Now, if they're getting the answer from Google and not coming through to our website, that makes a pretty dramatic challenge. And historically, the approach was always educate, be the thought leader, answer the questions that people are asking online, show up as the expert on hearing care, hearing loss, hearing aids, etc. through high quality content. But if Google now are getting that search and answering the question without people coming to your website, then it changes the dynamic of how your website needs to win on Google. And essentially what that means is the job of a website for a hearing care clinic given there's typically low intent when somebody's making a search and they're more in the educational phase. It used to be educate, show yourself as the thought leader. Whereas right now, the goal of the website needs to change and play a very, very different dynamic that's a mix of transactional, which is a mix of how you position yourself in the marketplace for the types of patients you want to attract, and of course, still being there as a feeder towards Google for an education perspective. So like we're in this very, very unique spot right now. And I can't help but think, based on what I see from other marketing groups and what many people are speaking about in the industry, about Google and what's happening online, is everybody else is a little bit living on how the internet worked 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I'm happy to be proven wrong here if these big dramatic shifts don't occur. But right now, the data, everything that we're seeing and the trends and everything points towards these things being in play right now. Go and look at your Google Analytics dashboard and you'll see there's a lot of funky stuff that's going on right now due to the AI overview with impressions up here and clicks going that way. This is happening right around us. And it's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast. And the move is, are you going to watch it happen, stay things as they were, hope things don't change, hope things remain the same as they were in 2019, 2020, and 2021? Or are you going to get on the front foot of this? Because this is a moving train, and the further that train gets away, the more difficult it's going to be to catch. So big encouragement with everything that's going on right now. If you haven't got your eye on this and you're not getting ahead of it, then you're in a compromised position. The good news for you is nobody else even knows what's going on. Most people have just about got a website together. So the competition that you're fighting with here is so low. The ability for you to be category of one in your local marketplace for the types of services you offer by getting ahead of this are so dramatically within your control if you can get ahead of this. But there's huge change, more change than I've seen in my entire career. There's not enough people talking about this and everything that's happening. It's what we've been shouting from the rooftops about to our inner circle members, and we're changing the website strategy so dramatically in 2025 for all of our members and going in a completely new direction in what a website needs to look like to win in 2027, 2028, and 2029. And this is the fun of ensuring that all our members are several steps ahead of the rest of the industry and so far ahead of the curve that they continue to win and win for the long term. Now, if you are a private practice hearing care clinic that runs a great practice with a great reputation, with happy patients, and you're looking to get ahead of this, then we may be able to help if you're open to a conversation and exploring if working with us is the right fit, but it may not be the right fit for you. But at the very least, please be asking these questions to whoever your marketing provider is, and know that if they downplay them, it's either because they haven't got their finger on the pulse of what's going on, or they're fearful of the amount of work to get ahead of it, that it's easier to bury their head in the sand. And I hate to be that guy, but this is what's going on, and I know the future will prove me right in terms of everything that's occurring right now. But hopefully that's helpful. Please pay attention to what is going on. I wouldn't be ringing alarm bells and putting something that's going to be timestamped on the internet to be proven wrong in the future unless I was very, very passionate that this is happening with utter belief based on the evidence that I'm seeing. So hope this is helpful. I'll be back again next week with another episode, and I promise it may be a little friendlier, a little softer, and something you can do right now to find some extra revenue in your practice. Speak to you then. And there we have it. Another episode has come to an end, and I have a quick favour to ask. If you have found this helpful, then who do you know who should listen to this podcast? I strongly believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and right now, private practice needs to stick together to fight these big, gormless groups and these manufacturer-owned Goliaths that are looking to take market share from us. Consider who should be listening, pass on the word about the Business of Hearing podcast, and I'll see you again next week.